Welcome to Do the Dang Thing podcast with Chrissi Sperduto, the podcast that's like having a personal action-taking coach in your pocket, giving you bite-sized tips and small mindset shifts every week. I'm your host, Chrissi Sperduto. I'm a network marketer turned action-taking coach for business owners who grew her businesses while holding down a successful career in aviation. I'm on a mission to help you fit your business into your everyday life because I believe you are capable of doing some pretty amazing things no matter how chaotic your life is. Consider me your no-nonsense business BFF, helping you learn how to get it all done quicker, easier, and with way less mental drama. Join me here on the podcast each week where we'll chat everything from systems to help you fit your business into real life, to business tips, plus time management hacks, mindset shifts to help you find the courage to take that next step in your business, and real life experts to inspire and empower you to go after your goals. Let's go, CEO. We have work to do. Grab your favorite cup of coffee or wine, no judgment here, and get ready to ditch those inner mean girl thoughts ringing in the back of your head so you can embrace your inner badass and go do the dang thing. Welcome back to the Do the Dang Thing podcast. Today we have someone super duper special on the show, my very own right-hand woman, Jackie.
Hey, how are you today, Chrissi?
Good. How are you doing, Jackie?
Good.
And
Good.
Jackie has been my virtual assistant, or I might refer to her as my VA, in case you've never heard that term before, for about 2 years now. And oh my, am I excited to have her spilling all the details and giving you kind of a behind the scenes look at just how we do all the things that we do. And I'm going to tell you, I would not be where I am in my business without her help, without her right hand assistant throughout the years. So, um, and the last episode, we talked about when you know it's time to delegate and some tasks that I think are pretty easy to delegate. And now Jackie's going to help us kind of dive into the how and make sure that we don't have any kind of bad business owner mistakes happening over here when we do go to delegate to a VA. So Jackie, thank you so much for joining us. I'm excited that you're here.
I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. This is attempt number 2 at recording this. So we're gonna make a little bit more sense this time. The last episode we recorded was not structured enough. We were definitely all over the
It was
place.
very squirrel.
Yes, yes. We have those moments, both of us. So just your reminder that you can always re-record or retry and no one's
Yes, you
gonna
can.
die.
Very true.
So just a little bit of a background on Jackie. Jackie is a virtual assistant helping business owners streamline their processes, save time, and get more time back with their families by taking kind of those pesky admin tasks off their plates. She really is kind of a Jill of all trades and a knowledge on so many different platforms, everything from Canva to Flowdesk to Opus Clip. And honestly, more like the number of things that you know how to do, or just say, oh, well, I don't know how to do that, but I'm going to try and I'm going to figure it out, is absolutely amazing. So, Jackie, to kick us off, how did you get started with being a VA?
I love this question because it's not the traditional path. I see so many people now saying, "Oh, I took this course. I'm getting ready to start being a virtual assistant." I fell into it. I literally fell into it. Probably, I think it was the end of 2020, I believe. In one of my mom's groups on Facebook, an acquaintance of mine had posted that she was looking for help within her Norwex business at the time. And she's like, I need somebody that can do this program, use this program, use this program, this program. And it was at a time in our lives where my husband had been let go, my primary income had just been cut. And I'm going, it sounds interesting. I don't know any of those things. So I shot my shot and I'm like, here's the thing. I don't know how to do any of that, but I'm a quick learner. And she's like, okay. And so from there, she's like, here's what I need. This is what I'm looking for. Figure this out. I'm like, bet.
Yeah.
So I started figuring all of this stuff out. And I kind of went from there. Anything else she threw at me, I just kind of figured out. I
Yeah.
guess you could say I jumped in and just started swimming.
I'm going to highlight that, like, even as a business owner, you don't know some of these platforms first, and you just have to
Mhm.
learn it and figure it out. And so there's no reason why a VA can't do that. Like, you don't need a VA that knows all of the systems, just one that's willing to learn and figure
Absolutely.
it out alongside of you. As a business owner, I would highly suggest that you learn your systems and you learn your platforms first as well, um, alongside your VA or with your VA. So that way, if for whatever reason your assistant leaves, you know what to do and can keep your business running too.
Absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely.
Now, Jackie, before we dive deep into the questions, you also wear a lot of other hats, which I think is a theme of a lot of the guests we have on the podcast. Tell us a little bit more about what else you do in addition to virtual assistant.
Oh, so you mean like regular life?
Yeah.
So I'm a virtual assistant. I also teach English as a second language in the early mornings. That's how I get my butt up out of bed, to be quite honest. I homeschool my kids. I'm working on starting back up my photography business, and I help my parents out a couple days a month at their shop, and I've started doing their social media for them as well.
And then if you hear chirping in the background, you've also become a chicken mom
Oh, you can hear that?
a little bit.
Yeah, I have recently become an accidental chicken mom because becoming an accidental chicken mom happens in my life.
I think it's so funny. On some of our calls, Jackie will pull up and just be like, "Hey, I have a chicken here," and just shows like a little chick. It's so adorable. So, anyways, so last week I chatted about when you know it's time to bring on help. Like you're drowning in tasks, you're overwhelmed, things are not getting done, you're dropping the ball. So, if someone isn't quite ready to bring on a VA yet, Jackie, what are some proactive things that they can do now to prepare to bring someone on in the future?
Start one thing, and I have trouble delegating. So it's something I've had to work on too, is start delegating within your home. Like, I love going to the grocery store. I hate people picking up my vegetables and fruits. Hate it. But it is an easy way to buy back an hour or two of your time. You just put in your order and they bring it to you. And for me, I had to sit there and it took me months before I made that jump because I had to sit there and process, okay, yeah, it's saving me time, but it's also costing me the delivery fee, the tip. Before my mind finally clicked and like, yeah, it's saving you the delivery fee and the tip by doing this yourself. But how much are you saving by not physically going into the store with your children?
All those
And then
impulse buys.
all those impulse buys, all those, oh yeah, I'm out of this, or I'll soon be out of this. So yes, I have to pay that tip and that delivery fee, but I'm also saving probably $20, $30 just by not physically walking into the store with my children and remembering everything else I need to get or
Yeah.
may need to get.
And even if
So
it's only an hour a week, by the end of the month, that's 4 or 5 hours that you've bought back for a pretty low amount of money,
right.
honestly. A hundred
And
bucks?
well,
Get you 5 hours of your life back? Like, that's
I
crazy.
was I was able to get my instant cart for $20. So I was like, okay, that was a low enough barrier for me where I'm like, okay, that's not gonna hurt. Don't ask me how I got that, but I did. And but also within my home, I had to start delegating and be okay with how my daughter was doing things. Like I delegated laundry to her. Do I hate how she folds towels? Absolutely. It kills me a little inside. But I'm not doing that anymore. And that takes away some of that, the immense amount of time I was spending doing laundry by saying, hey, I need you to do this. And she
Yeah.
does. So the first step I'd say start delegating within your home. It can be small things, it can be bigger things. Just start somewhere. And it doesn't have to be the same way you do it.
Yes, I love that. And we talked extensively about that last week. Or I guess I talked extensively about that last week. Um, what about within our businesses though? So it's October now.
Mhm.
Let's say that someone's like, hey, the first of the year, I'm going to be ready to bring a VA on. Like, I don't really want to do it over the holidays, but by the first of the year, I'm going to be ready to bring someone on. What should I be doing right now to prepare to bring someone into your company?
First thing first, make that list of things that you're wanting to delegate and start with the little things. Like, that would be the easiest place to start. What is the smallest thing that you can offload to somebody else that you don't need to be doing, whether it be email management, posting to their socials? Start with the small stuff. and then create that list like, okay, if they take on this, they could easily take on this,
Mm-hmm.
which could lead to this and this. What things can you stack? What can build off of each other?
I
So
love that.
look for all of those tasks that you don't have to be doing, that don't have to be done by you. Like you don't need to be sending out the emails. You can write the template for them, but somebody else can easily schedule those for you.
100%. Yeah. I think actively looking and going, okay, I just did this task. Did it actually need to be done by me, or could I have
Right.
given it to someone else and aimed for that 80%? Like knowing that if I'm not doing it, it's probably going to be to 80% of what I would have in a perfect world ideally would have wanted, but 80% is done and it's good enough.
80% is better than 100% not getting out there. So
100%. Absolutely. Um, so one of the things that I did was as I was like, hey, I think I'm going to bring someone on to help me, is as I would do specific tasks and I would identify, hey, this is something that could be done by someone else. I started writing an SOP, a standard operating procedure for it.
eh, yes,
We keep ours in Trello, and it seems to have served us pretty well. And I have basically a list of all the passwords. So,
right.
email something that I'm going to be able to delegate. Let me put the username and password and everything that they need to know to log into the account on a card here. And then I started putting things into templates. Like, hey, every Wednesday I'm going to send out an email about the podcast. What do I want the email to say? And like
Mhm.
creating templates that it would make my life easier to write it, but then it would also make it easy enough for my VA to follow it. And so we actually put like a checklist on each podcast episode. Jackie
Love
loves
that checklist.
loves the
Love it.
checklist. So then we know, hey, I'm gonna name the episode, I'm gonna write the show notes, I'm gonna record the podcast, but then Jackie's going to upload it to YouTube. Jackie's going to upload it to Spotify. And we are able to delegate each week, hey, I know what Jackie's done and what she hasn't done. And so I'm thinking for someone that wants to bring on a VA in the future, you can start creating this system for you and your
Absolutely.
future VA. Like you don't have to have a VA to be starting to prepare for this.
And to have those systems, because those systems sometimes are helpful, like when you're going through that process, and sometimes you hit that roadblock and you're just like, how do I do that again? Sometimes it's just helpful to have that reference for your own self.
Oh,
But
100%.
to your point, like even like I know you had the logins and passwords for everything already set up. That's not only helpful for you, but again, in the future, having it there for somebody else to be able to go, okay, this is what I need. We're going to plug this in real quick.
Yeah. And creating this will take a little bit of time, but it's going to actually save you so much time in the future, especially for those tasks that you only do once a month, once a
Mhm.
quarter, once a year, to have it all spelled out of like, yes, it's going to take me longer this time to go through and list out the steps step by step, but the next time I do it, I don't have to think about what the steps are. I can just go through and get it done.
Right.
So let's back up for a second. Where does one even find a virtual assistant?
So many places now. Like I mentioned, I found my first job in a mom's group on Facebook.
Word
So
of mouth.
word of mouth, word of mouth is a fantastic way. I think that's actually how I've gotten everybody that I've ever worked with. And I love that because then you kind of already know a little bit about them. So Facebook, you can find people. I see it all the time on Threads right now. Oh my goodness, everybody and their brother's looking for somebody on Threads. Um, Ask your friends, ask your fellow business owners, like, hey, do you know somebody that does this? Do you have somebody you love? Are they taking people on? Business groups that you're a part of on Facebook. I had somebody asking me the other day. She was like, hey, I'm in this group on Facebook for people that do this, and I see people all the time asking for virtual assistants. Can I pass your name along? Absolutely.
Yeah.
So online right now seems to be the place to find them,
Yeah. So that's actually how I found you was from word of mouth. One
right?
of my friends, you were working with one of my friends, and at the time, she was talking about it while we were at our conference, and oh, I love my VA. She's so great, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, I already have a VA, so I like, great. I'm glad that you love her. And a couple months later, my VA at the time said, "Hey, Chrissi, I'm actually going to go back to work now. My kid is starting kindergarten. And
Mhm.
so it's time for me to go back into the workforce. Like this was a really great transition back into real work and living and life. And it helped me get a job because didn't have
Right.
as large of a gap in my employment because I was working with you. But it's time for me to go back. Here's my 2 weeks notice." And I'm like, we're about to enter the busiest time of the year. It was the fall time. I was like, this is going to be absolutely insane. Where can I find someone? And I reached out to my friend and I was like, "Hey, is your VA taking on new clients?" And she was like, "I don't know. Let me check." And she connected us, and the rest is history. So if you are looking for someone, ask your friends if they're happy with the person that
Absolutely.
they have. Hey, can I talk to them? Are they taking on new people? Um, so that is any other advice on finding someone, Jackie?
Absolutely. Because one of the things, if you find somebody, one, when you're posting that you're looking for somebody, be crystal clear. Because my biggest pet peeve right now is seeing all these, I'm looking for a virtual assistant, share your recs or drop your info below, but they're not posting what they're looking for. So post what you're looking for because one of the things you're doing is you're wasting your time because you're going to get all of these people saying, "I'm perfect for this job. Hit me up. Oh, I am just what you need. I'm a VA. Let me know how I can help." But they may not be the right fit for you. They may have an entirely different skill set than what you're looking for. So be crystal clear like, "Hey, looking for knowledge in this system, this system, this system. I'm looking to hand off X, Y, and Z." Just so you have a basis and you're not suddenly sorting through hundreds of comments, hundreds of emails for people that aren't going to fit what you're looking for simply because you didn't specify what you're looking for.
Yeah,
Like I saw one lady and I kind of looked at her post and she had been like, "Hey, I'm looking for a VA." And all of a sudden her comments exploded. And she had posted one or two things she was looking for. And one or two things is great, but really having a broader list is better. Because she came back and she's like, she had posted on Threads an update like, "I've got over 200 emails in my inbox right now. Give me time to sort through these."
that's
And that's when
crazy.
it's really, it was insane. Like I looked at back going, I am so glad I didn't send anything in. But having that list of what you're specifically looking for can really narrow that down from hundreds of emails to a more concentrated number of people who fit what you're looking for. So
Such
be
great
crystal
advice.
clear.
I
And
love that.
when one thing I would say after you decide like, okay, these people could fit, do a Zoom call to make sure that I call it a vibe check anymore. Make sure that it is going to work because I've done Zoom calls where it's like, I don't know that we will work well together. I don't know that this is a good fit, but I
Yeah,
took them on anyway because at the time I was like, why not? And that's kind of how I approach life sometimes like, hey, why not?
let's try it
But
out.
let's try it out. Let's see what happens. But looking back on each of those instances where I was like, I don't know about this. Each of those instances were spot on. Like I shouldn't have been working with them. They were not the right fit for me. I was not the right fit for them. And ultimately we had to part ways. So do the vibe check, ask the questions. That's the best way to ensure that you're going to get somebody that's going to work well with you.
That's so important. That's so important. Okay. So you found someone, you did a vibe check, the vibe is there. It's
Yep.
time to onboard them.
Mhm.
I think setting expectations for both sides is so, so important. What is your take on this? What should,
Absolutely.
what should we be clear on from day one with someone new?
From day one, and I try and remember to tell anybody I'm onboarding this. So the first couple of months will be a little bit iffy. Check in with each other, communicate clearly. Don't be afraid to communicate. I know, at least for me, for a while, I would be afraid to tell people, "I'm not quite sure on this. I'm not
Mm,
confident in this." And then that would lead to things where it's like, "Hey, this isn't being done correctly. I need you to fix this." So being crystal clear, being open with communication and not being like, what's the word I'm looking for?
not being
Not,
vague.
not being vague, not getting frustrated when things aren't happening the way you want them to, because those it's kind of like a relationship in those first couple of months.
Yeah.
You're getting to know each other, you're getting to feel each other out and see how the other person works. And sometimes the way one person communicates isn't going to be the same.
Hmm.
So
And
figuring out those communications.
I know at the beginning of our relationship, like it felt very stressful. Like it felt
It was.
like I feel like I'm saying the right things, but I don't think she's understanding what I'm saying. And so I had to change the way that I was doing things, saying things. And I also had to be open to, hey, Jackie might have a way to do this that's more efficient, that's better. You
Absolutely.
streamlined several things inside of my direct sales business for me
Mhm.
that I would have never thought to streamline. And I was like, oh, that makes complete sense. Like that is a much more efficient way to do
Mhm.
this. Um, I think really like I love that you called it like a relationship, that at the beginning you need to be in communication, you need to be
Mhm.
chatting, and almost like if I could go back in time, I would say like set up like a check-in. Like, hey, every Friday I'm gonna check in with you and just to see how things are going. And set that
Absolutely.
from the very beginning before things get tense or like you're getting frustrated, that hey, every Friday I check in with you. And it might just be a
Right.
quick text message. Maybe once a month we get on a Zoom call or whatever.
Mhm.
But nine times out of ten, like clear is kind.
It is. And that's what a lot of those things where I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm frustrated and I don't know how to deal with this. It was with your stuff because you had so much stuff.
Yes.
And you just had a very different way of communicating than some of my other people did. And I had a harder time with that. And that's okay. We figured it out, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, especially so if you're like brand new to bringing on a VA, you probably only have a handful of things to delegate to them. But as you grow and as you get more comfortable with delegating things, I had dozens upon dozens of things to delegate to you. And so that was probably really overwhelming at the
It
beginning.
was. It was because here was the difference. And I love you. Please know I love you. That you came in with a very clear picture of what you wanted done. And you, because you had had a virtual assistant before, you had all of these systems set up and you're like, all right, here we go.
It
And
wasn't an ease into it.
there was no easing into it. It was just kind of like, oh, okay, we're throwing everything at the wall right now. And
Yeah.
so maybe if you are one of those people and you've got all the things to delegate and you've already got systems, ease into that a little bit to acclimate that person. But we figured it out. So
Yeah. During that time, it was like in the busiest season of my life too. And I was just like, okay, she says she can do it. So here we go. We'll figure it out. And but then I also had the expectation of, hey, this is not going to be perfect and it's going to be a little tough at the beginning, but like we're just going to keep going. We're just going to keep pushing through. And that's definitely my personality. And anytime you work with someone different, like someone else, like everyone's personalities are different and there's going to be growing pains. And
there
just
is,
knowing that that is normal. Um, Now, Jackie, one of the things that I loved that you did when we first started working together was you have a contract.
I do.
Yes. And I think it includes a non-disclosure.
It does. Um, the when I first started out, I had a very niche market. Like I worked just with Norwex consultants in their businesses. And some of those consultants were in different committees that there were things I couldn't share. And so I wanted to be very clear, like neither of us can share different things. Like I don't want to cross any lines. And so I wanted to make sure they were comfortable in the fact that I wasn't going to share anything. And then some of them just had things that they created on their own, or I created for them. That's like, they may not want me to share this. And so I just wanted everybody, myself included, and CYA, cover my booty, everybody to be comfortable with the fact that I'm going to hold on to what you need me to hold on to. And I'm not going to go telling everybody and their brother
Yeah, that's so
because
important.
some people do.
Yeah,
And I've seen it and it's like, I don't want to be that person. So I
yeah,
think contracts are very important, not only to protect myself, but to protect you. Because I
yeah,
know there have been times, was it you or somebody else? Doesn't matter. Where they're like, okay, I'm putting this together. Please don't share this with other people because this is something I'm using specifically for this. I'm like,
hmm,
cool, I won't. But then there have been things I've created for other people where I'm like, this could help other people. Do you mind if I share it? And I always make sure to get that in writing so that way if they come back, I'm like, no, you said right here I could. So if I'm sharing something, I'm being very clear and making sure I can. And
yeah,
even with those contracts, it states what hours I'm working because my hours are not the norm. Um, how if we're going to end things, how we're going to do that, what my pay rate is. I write all of that out so it's clear from the beginning.
Mhm.
Which, going off that, when you bring on a VA, make sure that you're clear on what you're expecting work-wise. Like if you want them in the same time zone. Some people are very specific, like I want somebody in my time zone. They don't want somebody an hour ahead or an hour behind. They want people that are, some people may want people that are available during their working hours. Like one thing I always make sure to tell people is I work on my time because I've got a lot of things going on. I work in the morning when my kids are still sleeping, or I work at night after they go to bed. There'll be occasional times where I pop on during the day and knock some stuff out. But overall, my working hours are when my kids are asleep. And that doesn't work for everybody, and that's okay. But I always make sure to clear that with the people that I'm working with. Like, hey, these are my hours. Does this work for you? Because if not, this may not work.
Yeah. Now, one thing to keep in mind is if you are bringing on someone and you are going to have them as a 1099 contractor, which I think most of us would bring on a VA in that, if you're in the US,
Mhm.
it's just a tax protection where you're not paying their side of their income taxes, basically. It's like legal tax, blah, blah, blah jargon. But um, if you are bringing on a 1099 contractor, you cannot set their work hours. Legally, they are a contractor, they are not an employee of your business, and they can work whatever hours that they want to. You cannot tell them when they can and can't work. If you want to set specific working hours, you need to hire them not as a 1099 contractor, as a, in a different format for your business.
Right.
So just a little like CYA thing for you too, as a business owner. So,
Yeah.
okay, we are bringing on someone new.
Mhm.
What are 2 to 3 tasks that you think any business owner can quickly and easily delegate to a virtual assistant just to get them off and running and started?
Email management.
Okay.
That's a
And what do
quick
you mean
one.
by that?
That looks different for everybody. Some people, when I first started, they would have me like get in their email and just clean it up, separate things out into different files for them. Some people would have me go in and respond to emails. And they'd be like, here's a template, here's generally what I say, go. So email management's pretty straightforward. Let's see, what else is there? If you're somebody that needs them posting to social media, that's something that can take 1-2 minutes a day. And it's
Mhm.
something just to kind of get them in there and moving. I think those are the 2 quickest ones to get off and running. Everything else, well, spreadsheets. If you're good with spreadsheets and you have a system set up for that.
Yeah. I definitely think it's going to be unique, but just to get
It
the
is.
juices flowing, um, do you have any favorite tools or systems that make onboarding easier and smoother?
Oh, onboarding. I thought you were just gonna say in general. We can talk
Or
about
in
that
general?
later. Onboarding, Trello has been amazing. You can store everything and it's super easy to put together. There's free versions of it, and you can separate out everything.
Hmm.
Like I know your Trello, your onboarding process is top notch, amazing. But you can set up a Trello board with all of those logins and passwords. Anything that needs to be done weekly, monthly on a different board. If you've got your different SOPs, you can have all of those put under another board. So Trello is amazing for that. It's very straightforward, and I feel like it's a very low entry barrier for everybody to just get started.
Yeah.
Um, I know
I
some
like
people
that on,
used Dubsado. I haven't
I
used that
haven't
as much though.
gone in there. I think I like Trello of like you can have your content of like, here's my SOPs, here's my logins. You can divide it into different lists, and my brain works in lists. But then you can
Same.
also kind of communicate within
Mhm.
the cards. So you can like if I have a question about something, I can tag you in it and you get a notification
Yes.
and we can actually communicate on like the list of tasks that we have. So I think it's a really great system, but I know not everyone's brains work with that. So, have you done something different, like maybe email, or what other systems have you used with other people?
Some people, it's exclusively Facebook Messenger. Like they send, I see your eyes popping. Some people, they send me their tasks. exclusively on Facebook Messenger, like, hey, this is what's coming up. Can you put something together for this? Can you do this?
And how
And
do
I
you
keep,
keep like their logins and things organized? This is like
I
such
have,
a tie, like we're like over here and not talking on topic, but that is so like curious to me of like if I was a virtual assistant and okay, fine, you're sending me the tasks every week in Messenger, but like how do I know all your login information? Like where are you storing that?
I just have it saved on my computer. Like, I
Okay.
should probably set them up with their own Trello boards with all of this information and start writing out their operating procedures in case, heaven forbid, something happens to me. But for some people, they'll send me everything on Messenger and then just check in that way. The downside
Okay.
to that is sometimes we overlook things
Yeah.
or things get lost, or she'll be like, I thought I sent you this. Looking back, I didn't. So it happens. I have another person who will send it to me on Messenger and then follow up via text,
Mm,
which is
okay.
nice. Um, I did have one person for a while that did email, but then she switched over to Messenger. So, but for my brain, I have no problem switching between that. I usually have a running list of things on my desk. I'll have a list just like, okay, this needs to get done, this needs to get done, this needs to get done.
Yeah.
And then I mark things off as I go.
Master prioritizer over here.
Yes.
Okay. It's time for a little bit of real talk here. We're gonna be a little blunt here. What are some like facepalm mistakes you see newbies making when they start delegating? And how can we avoid making those mistakes?
The biggest one, and this, it happens 9 times out of 10, making sure that your email and your passwords that you have saved somewhere, like written down, are up to date. Like, I have people that will send me all of their stuff and be like, okay, this is how you log into this program, and this program. And then I get in there and it's like, okay, it's telling you that this is the wrong email for this, or this isn't the right password. And then the messages come like, well, this is what I have written down. Hold on, let me check. So that would be the biggest one, is things just don't get updated on their end because it's saved on their stuff. So they don't have to update it on whatever their Trello board or their written list.
Yeah.
That would be the biggest thing. Um,
So much is going to the
it's
two-factor. Like that has to be a
so
pain in
many
the butt for
things.
you too.
It really, it really was like Project Broadcast. Love Project Broadcast for Business. Quick plug for them. Oh my goodness, they are so underutilized. Project Broadcast is such an amazing application that can be used in so many different ways, and people don't really realize it. However, they have been moving everything over to two-factor authentication. And for them, it happened very quickly. Like, their governing body was all of a sudden like, okay, this needs to be implemented now. There was no lead into it. Because I remember the first time I was trying to log into somebody's account and it's saying, okay, how do you want your authentication sent? Phone or email? And I'm like, wait, excuse me? Pardon me? And luckily for me is I had the ability to check most of my people's emails.
Yeah.
I can get in there and get those codes. And so I went in, I'm like, okay, well, we're just going to approve this. Here's the code I need. Um, so from there, we had to figure out, okay, we need to set it up as somebody managing it now.
Mm,
So, but I also see that on some email platforms. I forget which
yeah.
one it was the other day that I was trying to log in. It's like, oh no, it was SquareSite. I was working on somebody's website for them. And it's like, okay, you need this code. I'm like, I hope she's by her phone right now. So I sent her a quick message like, hey, you're gonna get a code, please send it to me.
That's funny.
So the multi-factor authentication has been an
Interesting.
interesting process,
Yeah.
but I
Okay.
understand why they're doing it.
Yes. I mean, in the world of security, I can appreciate it, but it's still it makes things difficult. So, and it
Right.
probably makes your job pretty difficult too. Before we wrap up, hit us with any other nuggets of advice, secret sauce that you have, tips and tricks for anyone that's thinking about hiring a VA. Anything that we didn't talk about today.
Don't be afraid to hire somebody new, somebody that's like just out there, because that's how I got started. And I'm so thankful that she wasn't like, oh, you don't know any of this. Sorry. So don't be afraid of the new people. Um, a lot of times they're going to be sitting there going, okay, what can I learn? How can I help you? More than people that are already set in their ways
Yeah.
because they're eager to learn, they're eager to find more people. Um, if there's something that you don't know, don't be afraid to say, hey, can you figure this out? I've had people come to me for one-off projects. They're like, hey, can you do this? I've never worked with a program before. I'm like, yeah, I can figure it out.
Hmm.
So don't be afraid to say, hey, can you figure this out? Um,
I had you do that with ManyChat. I was like, okay, I know that I could take the time and figure this out, and I just don't have the mental bandwidth for it. Here's what I want it to do. Jackie, can you set that up? And you're like, yeah, absolutely. And it took you were fast, 5 minutes.
5 minutes and I had it figured out. So, but yeah, so don't be afraid to try new people. Be clear when you're looking for somebody what you want them to do. Like that is my biggest pet peeve right now is people just saying, I need to offload tasks. Great. Identify those tasks for me. What are you looking to offload?
Yeah. I think it can be
Um,
hard when you are overwhelmed, like you're saturated, you're overwhelmed. You're like, I need help and I need help now,
right.
knowing what those tasks are. So for me, I always advise business owners to decide that you need help early. Like get help before you are drowning.
Yes. But a lot of people don't do that
Yeah.
because they see all of those different limitations. They may see price as a factor and be like, I don't have the money for that right now, which valid. Okay. But you can buy back all of that time
Yeah.
quickly.
Yep. It's going to free you up to do the things that are making you money.
Yes. Do the dang thing.
For me, I want to leave the listeners with a little bit of advice.
Mhm.
If you are going to make a pivot in your business, and I see so many people pivoting, maybe you're in network marketing and you want to add something else, or you have decided, like, hey, I don't want to do this coaching thing anymore. I want to go do something else. Don't just assume that your virtual assistant is going to go with you,
Absolutely.
especially like I brought Jackie on to help me with my Norwex business, with my direct sales business. And that was her specialty. And before I pivoted into coaching, I said, Jackie, I want to make this pivot. Would you like to come with me on this, or do you want to just stay on my Norwex things? And I gave you the option, and you had told me before that you were really appreciative of that, that I didn't just assume that you wanted to come with me.
I was so appreciative. Like I had other people who were pivoting and they were just throwing other things at me all of a sudden that like, hey, I'm now doing this. Can you do this and this? And it's like, I could. It was a whole different brands that I didn't quite understand. I wasn't very much aligned with. So it's like I don't
Yeah.
understand what's going on here. Like quite honestly, there would be times I'd be sitting there at my computer like, oh my goodness, okay, so this is what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
But being brought along on a pivot that I wasn't prepared for
Hmm.
was kind of jarring. It's like I
Yeah.
saw her making that pivot, and I always figured like, okay, if they want to bring me along, they'll bring it up first. So if you're making a pivot, yes, definitely ask them first if they want to pivot with you.
Hmm. Absolutely. Okay, so on every episode, I try to leave the listeners with one tangible thing that they can do today to start doing the dang thing. So, what is one thing that they can do today to get ready to hire a VA or get ready to start the process, even if they think that the like hiring someone is going to come 6 months from now, a year from now, or maybe they already have one? Like, what's something that they can do um, just to streamline things?
Absolutely. So for people that are thinking about it but not quite comfortable in the handing off process, start within the home, delegating things. For those that don't really have anything within the home, start with start making a list of tasks that you can feasibly see handing off, tasks that you don't have to physically do, things that could be easy enough to be like, hey, I need you to set up these text messages for me. Hey, I need you to schedule these emails. Simple things. And then build out your list from there and start putting together those standard operating practices. So when that time comes and you're like, great, I found the perfect person, here's how we can transition you into this quickly and well.
Yes, that is amazing. All right, Jackie, where can the listeners find you in the world? Social media? Or do you not want them to
Admittedly,
find you?
they can find me. It's fine. because I found all of my people word of mouth, I never had the need to set up any socials for my virtual assistant business. Been re-examining that idea lately. But right now, you can just find me on my personal Facebook or Instagram, which I don't post a whole bunch on. Or
You've been really active on Threads
Threads.
though lately. Like, go find
Yes,
her
I
on
have.
Threads and chit
Find me
chat.
on Threads. Find me on Threads because that's, yeah, I post on everybody's thing that's looking for a virtual assistant. What tasks are you looking for?
You're you're the virtual assistant, aunt, making sure we're all organized and ready to take on these types of tasks.
I
So,
kind of am. So find me in one of those places or ask Chrissy where to find me.
I will link your threads in the show notes, the description
Perfect.
below the podcast. And Jackie, thank you so much for spending your time with us today.
Thanks for
Um,
having me.
yeah, and thank you to everyone that listened today. I hope that today's episode was helpful to you, whether you have a VA, whether you don't, whether you're thinking about it. And I'll just leave you with having someone in my corner that can help me out when shit hits the fan has been one of the best tools in my toolbox. Just the other day, jury duty was running late, and I texted Jackie from my watch and I said, I need you to email the membership right now and let them know that our call is going to be an hour later than it was scheduled for. And within 5 minutes, she had it out. To the whole membership, and we were able to move the call. And just having that extra person that's another set of eyes, that is just an extra little help, that can offer suggestions, be in your corner, and take some of those things off of your plate so you have more room and abundance in your life, in your business, has been just the absolute best thing I've ever done. So, thank you, Jackie, again for joining us. Thank you for
Thank you.
listening today. And remember, keep on doing the dang thing. And we'll see you next week. See you later.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Do the Dang Thing podcast with Chrissi Sperduto. If you know someone that could benefit from today's chat, please send this episode their way and be sure to leave a rating and a review so more business owners can find the podcast and be inspired to take action on their goals. Also, I love to see what you're doing while you listen. Share what you're up to while you listen to today's episode and tag me in your stories at Chrissi Sperduto for a shout out. If you'd like to explore more resources like my free monthly coaching call and learn how we can work together through one-on-one coaching or the Do the Dang Thing membership, head to www.chrissisperduto.com. Please always remember that you are not alone in this adventure. I am always rooting for you, bestie. Until next time, keep on doing the dang thing. Bye.